Oh my God. Well, good morning to everyone first, but I just saw this message and David, you just totally made my day. 5 more days, bags are packed. I get so excited when I'm going to go on vacation that I usually pre pack and it takes me some time to get it done. So I'm happy that the date is getting close for you. And, um, and I'm happy to see everybody. This is Coffee and Headlines. Good morning. Our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we take a look at headlines from our city, our state, and our country. And we share the news that we find will help us connect with one another and connect with our destination, our way of life, our culture here in Mexico. And we also take a look at your comments, your questions, your ideas, and suggestions so that we can be more connected. Pardon the see, I got stuck. So that we can be better connected. That's what I'm going to say. As a community of English speaking locals living here in Puerto Vallarta, that's what I'm trying to say. Hello. That was crazy. Anyhow, it is Tuesday, December 6th. It is a pleasure to see you all, and it is a pleasure to, as always, welcome those of you that are watching live for the first time. If that fits your bill, please feel free to write the word new in your comment, and we'll be so very happy to give you a nice little welcome. And if there's something really important that you wish to share with us, something that we shouldn't miss, kindly add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment so that we can address it properly during our comment section later on in the broadcast. Today, we have all kinds of important news. Today, we respond to a comment that was left yesterday afternoon in the show notes by a viewer called named Linda Quinn. I hope you're in the house because you asked for an explanation on some violence that took place on the city this past weekend, and we're happy to address your concern. And then I'm going to show you a place where you cannot go if you are afraid of heights or if you get dizzy easily. Are we ready? Yes, I think we are. Let's get this done. Okay, we start with good news, and just in time for the December holiday season, Seapal has reopened Basilio Badillo to vehicular traffic. Where is our clap when we need it? I don't know, but I found this. Yay! And in order to not interfere with the holidays, the remaining work along this very popular street in Colonia Emiliano Zapata will be paused until January. In the meantime, rest assured you can now drive through Basilio Badillo without any hassles. Now, this requires a little bit of explanation. Local workers for the Secretary of the Environment and Natural Resources, or SEMARNAT, have gone on strike, demanding that their local delegate and office manager get both removed from office. This is the secretary. SEMARNAT is the secretary in charge of protecting the environment, reverting ecology decay, and fostering sustainable practices throughout the country. This is also the office that, according to my understanding, signs off on feasibility studies that are required for any new construction project to take place. So why did the workers go on strike? Apparently, according to Catalina Ibarra, the local union leader, she is accusing Delegate Raul Rodriguez and Office Manager Eric Martinez of harassment in the workplace. We don't know who's right or who's wrong. We don't have all the information. But I will say that if you have any paperwork to take care of with SEMARNAT locally, do not expect it to go swiftly as these labor disputes get resolved properly. What else is next? Adriana Guzman Jimenez, Director of Urban Development and the Environment for Puerto Vallarta's administration, has raised awareness that there are no guidelines in place here in Puerto Vallarta to address garbage collection in all the new buildings that are presently being constructed through the city. And this is a topic that she hopes, and I do too, will be discussed and addressed in the upcoming update of Puerto Vallarta's urban development master plans. In a recent meeting, she called attention to the increasing piles of garbage that can be found in neighborhoods around the city. She specifically mentioned Versalles, but I'm sure this is happening elsewhere, where vertical construction of condos, has resulted in more trash. And we hope they find a way to address this problem sometime soon. As an aside, this headline from Guadalajara caught my attention. Apparently in Tonalá, within Guadalajara, the government set up a WhatsApp number in the recent past for people to leave reports of uncollected trash, and in a short amount of time, the government has received over 3,000 reports. So trash is a problem, not only in Puerto Vallarta, but definitely elsewhere in our state. And just as the year is ending, Mexico's Chamber of Deputies is set to discuss and hopefully grant final approval to the paid vacation time increase that was recently submitted to Congress. And they're going to discuss this today. This modification to the federal labor law will double paid vacation days for the first-year workers and provide subsequent increases in vacation days in the following years. We recall that Mexico is one of those countries in the world with the lowest number of paid vacation days for workers. So we continue to keep our fingers crossed and hope that this will be addressed and that indeed all Mexican workers will have more vacation time moving forward. And now I would like to, before we hop onto the weather, address a comment that I saw on the Facebook wall yesterday by Linda Quinn, who said, "I am a little confused about the lack of pertinent news. Other media has disclosed a problem in Puerto Vallarta on Saturday, which was ignored here. Is that on purpose? I hope not." To which I answered, I knew this would come up. Kindly allow me to respond to this tomorrow during the broadcast. Thank you for bringing it up. And of course, here we are. Now, there are two answers to this concern. One is short and one is long. And today, hooray, you are getting both. But first, Linda, let me thank you for relying on Coffee and Headlines as a place to go looking for important information and for relevant information. Pertinent information, as you called it. Indeed, there was safety issue problems in Puerto Vallarta this past weekend. But before we go there, let us first touch base on this issue of pertinent news. Every day, excuse me. Every day first, let me give you the short answer. The short answer is no, we did not ignore something and it was not on purpose. We simply, by design, from the very beginning, from when Coffee and Headlines was founded, have made the editorial choice to not feature violent news unless they refer to or they are related to people of prominence, people that are that have public prominence. We also discuss items like security and violence when they are related to improvements in policy at city level, state level, or even national level. But other than that, we don't discuss violent incidents in Coffee and Headlines because there are other places where you can get that kind of information. Why do we not discuss this information? Well, every day when I get up in the morning and I start figuring out what we're going to feature, I rely on four criteria. Number one, I look at a headline and I ask myself, is this relevant to me? Does this bit of news does it have any impact in my life? Is it pertinent to me? Number two, is it pertinent to the community based on the feedback that the community has given us or has given me through the last 2.5 years? And number three, does it create better connections for me to other people in the community or to Mexico, the city, our culture? And number four, does it create such connections for the community? So a violent issue is not pertinent to me. It really isn't, because Puerto Vallarta has as much violence as any city the size of Puerto Vallarta. But let us assume for a second, and I do want to give you a little bit of a reality check because I think it is worth addressing. Let us assume for a second that we did choose to share violent news here in Puerto Vallarta. And let us take a quick look at what was going on throughout the city over the weekend. For starters, that beautiful trail that you wanted me to go and do a walking tour of, a body was found along that trail on Saturday in the afternoon, right after you guys said, "Oh yes, Paco, go walking down the trail." On Saturday, and I'm assuming that here you are referring to the violent incident that took place on Plaza Lázaro Cárdenas, because that's the one that everybody was fumbling about. But on Saturday also, there was a woman that was run over by a taxi driver along Lago Real. She was killed instantly, survived by her severely injured 12-year-old daughter. On Saturday, no, actually, this is throughout the weekend, there was this report by Tribuna de la Bahía that talks about gunpoint violence and thefts that took place in Plaza Marina, in Colonia Díaz Ordaz, another one near Las Glorias. There was an armed robbery in Coapinole. There were 3 vehicles stolen over the weekend, one in Las Juntas, one in Coapinole. One vehicle was stolen in El Centro. So what I'm trying to convey here is violence in Puerto Vallarta is as common as it is in any city of our size. And it is as common as going to the bathroom. And I don't mean to be condescending when I say that, but I certainly hope we will not start talking about our bowel movements when it happens all the time. Now, to be on the safe side, as always, we want to make sure that everybody is happy. And whenever there are these kinds of questions, we always want to make sure that we are on the right path. So we have a poll, and this poll is going to appear shortly on your screen. And the question of the poll is going to be, do you want violence news in Coffee and Headlines or not? And I look forward to your reply as soon as this poll appears on your screen. And I look forward to your comments as they show up. And last but not least, I would like to again, Linda, thank you for relying on Coffee and Headlines for your news. But I would like to paraphrase your own question or your own concern Oh, I didn't mean to show you that. Hold on just a second. What I mean to show you is this. You say, I'm a little confused about the lack of pertinent news. Other media has disclosed a problem in Puerto Vallarta on Saturday, which was ignored here. Is that on purpose? I hope not. Since you feel comfortable enough to ask that, I'm paraphrasing and I am going to say the following. Linda, I am a little confused about the lack of support for Coffee and Headlines. Other people have supported Coffee and Headlines through contributions or through memberships. Is that on purpose? I hope not. And with that said, let us turn over to our weather. And Snarky Weather says, I don't see why everyone is so upset about allowing local police to deploy killer robots. It's 26 degrees right now. Humidity is at 81%. I felt so sweaty last night. It's not even funny. And our temperature is in Fahrenheit degrees is 80 right now. And our weather forecast for today says humid through the day with a high of 29 and a low of 22. Tomorrow, Wednesday, it's going to be humid through the day with a high of 29 and a low of 20. And humid through the day on Thursday with a high of 28 and a low of 20. And there you go. So now let's see. Let me make sure that before we continue with some lighter stuff, I want to see if the poll is working properly. Yes, the poll is active and I see your answers coming up. We'll wait a little bit until the comment section. Before we get into the comment section, I have a couple of other things for us to consider. For starters, we have the fact that participation on the daily Peregrinaciones or processions that began 5 days ago is on the rise, with an increasing number of groups lining up in the afternoon and evening to walk towards the Guadalupe Church in El Centro to pay their respects to Our Lady of Guadalupe. As such, we can expect that the activity in El Centro will continue to increase as we approach December 12th, which is Lady of Guadalupe Day. If you haven't been out and about to check out the Peregrinaciones, this is a time to do so. It is a lot of fun to watch, and there's a lot of fun food that goes on and that is available for you to enjoy. So check it out. And of course, if you need to get from one place to another, if you need to drive through El Centro, consider a different route because it gets a little tricky, particularly in the afternoon and evening hours. Last but not least, if you are not afraid of heights, and this has nothing to do with Puerto Vallarta, but why not? If you are not afraid of heights and do not get dizzy easily, you may want to consider the Bellini restaurant in Mexico City, as it is one of the 5 largest spinning restaurants in the world and the only one in Mexico. And where is it located? Well, it's located on the 45th floor of Mexico City's World Trade Center. And how fast does it spin? Well, it goes around once every 100 minutes. There you have it. And now let us take a quick look at your answers to the poll. Yeah, let's do this now. And let's get into comment mode. I think, okay, so 39% of you wish to see violence news in Coffee and Headlines. 61% of you do not want to see violence news in Coffee and Headlines. So there you have it. That's where it sits right now. And now I'd like to take a look at your comments to see where you're at in this issue and also in other issues. Let's see. Bim, 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 bim. I don't hear the comment music. I wonder why. Maybe it got... Oh, it's supposed to be playing, but I don't hear it. Anyhow, here we go. Let's see. Good mornings, good mornings, good mornings, good mornings. Oh my goodness, you folks are traveling all over the place. Back from 2 weeks in Peru. That's wonderful. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Kathleen says, I'm late. But don't worry, Kathleen, you always have the reruns um, that you can actually enjoy. Um, Terry says, I have caught people in fancy cars dumping trash at El Cora Park. That is unfortunate. Well, trash is such a big problem for Puerto Vallarta. And hopefully, our city authorities will continue to address this increasingly problematic situation. Let's see. We are very grateful for that policy, Paco. This is about the policy of not discussing violent crime in coffee and headlines. It helps make the cluster a safe place. Well, I don't know about safe or unsafe. Den, I appreciate the comment. For me, it's kind of like, does it have any impact on my life? I mean, the incident that took place in Plaza Lázaro Cárdenas, I mean, talk about the city being efficient cleaning up a mess when they set their minds to. I mean, the thing happened on Saturday, and by the following day, there was a disco party taking place there, and everybody seemed to be having a good time, like nothing happened. So what I'm trying to say is not that we are shying away from negative news. It's just that they don't have an impact in my daily life. There's crime everywhere, and there's crime everywhere. Let's see what else. Spencer says, good approach to relevance to our community, both the English-speaking / living residents and potential English-speaking or anyone else who is in the process of retiring in the wonderful metro area of Puerto Vallarta. Gracias, Paco. Well, gracias to you. Thanks to you, Spencer, because you did not mention the word tourist. And I know that there's a comment coming up that has something to do with talking about violence in tourist areas. I'd like to politely remind you, this is a forum, this is a project, this is a broadcast directed to English-speaking locals, not to tourists. Molly says, we watch you because you make us smile and become knowledgeable about the community. Can't get the violence anywhere else. Thank you for that, Molly. And that is, of course, a nice reminder to our friend Linda. Again, I look at the violent stuff. I skip it because it has no impact on my life. But if I become curious about it, I know where to go look for it. So, Linda, if keeping track of assaults, murders, gunshots, rapes, burglaries, and all the violent stuff that goes on in Puerto Vallarta, I'll be happy to point you to sources of information where you can find that kind of information. I don't know what this word means. Ornery. Let's see. Ornery. Bad-tempered and combative. I'm not bad-tempered. I really am not. Coffee and Headlines does not claim to be the source of information that has everything, just like La Comer. They don't sell pickup trucks. And if I was to ask La Comer, why do you not sell pickup trucks? I don't think they would get angry. It's just that there's certain things that we talk about. There's some things that we don't talk about. We don't talk much about golf and sailing either. There you go. Brad says, I think if there are incidents of violence in tourist areas or busy areas, I think that they should be mentioned. I would ask you, Brad, what makes a crime that happens in a tourist area more relevant than one that happens elsewhere in the city? Personally, I am more saddened by that young 12-year-old kid who lost her mother in a car accident because a taxi driver was not driving properly. And that violent incident happened in a place, well, actually, that's debatable because it happened near Nuevo Vallarta and there's a lot of tourists there. So do tell me, Brad, why you think that violent incidents that happen in tourist areas are more important to a forum that is not dedicated to tourism. And I'll be happy to read your answer. Let's see what else. And in the middle of everything, Money Brad says, "Wow, this humidity is bad for this time of the year." Like changing the subject or something. I love it. Um, Clay says, "The good with the bad." I say sugarcoating reality doesn't improve the situation. I hope you're not suggesting that we sugarcoat reality here at Coffee and Headlines, Clay. We're happy to talk about these things, but we are even happier to talk about things that inspire us in positive ways, that connect us in nurturing ways. That has been the goal of Coffee and Headlines since day one, and that will continue to be the goal here at Coffee and Headlines. Um, Da 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 da. Do, 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 do. I think news should be balanced. Negative news is important, but it must be in proportion to reality. Too much relative to all the good that happens makes it appear a place is excessively violent. When any violence is rare relative to the audience, the messaging is going out to. Well, that was a lot of words. I have to read that again on my own time to make sure that I understand what you're trying to say. But that's just me. That's not on you, Diane. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Um, let's see. Linda says that was an unnecessarily low blow. Um, I don't think I know what exactly you are referring to, Linda. If you think it's a low blow to mention to you that you haven't supported Coffee and Headlines, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I apologize. If you think it was an unnecessary low blow that I opened your eyes to the reality that Puerto Vallarta is a very violent place, that's just the way it is. All I'm trying to say, Linda, is if you find enough information or usefulness here at Coffee and Headlines, I'm just sharing a nice reminder that there are ways to be grateful to this project. Um, let's see what else. If you could supply links for people to find out about the violence, that might help them. Well, if people ask for such links, I'll be happy to share them. Let's see what else. Everyone should want to know the good and the bad happening in Puerto Vallarta. So there you have it. Everyone should want to know the good and the bad happening in Puerto Vallarta. As far as I'm concerned, we are not going to report the violent bad. And I'm grateful that there are other places where you can find out about that information. Let's see. Let's see. I live here and want to know about issues that affect me. The recent shooting is necessary to know, as many of us have a tendency to forget to be as careful as we should. I appreciate that, Liz. The goal of Coffee and Headlines is not to remind you to be safe and to exercise common sense. I should hope that you should know how to do that, regardless of what we convey here. Do 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 do. Many locals like myself live in tourist area. That's your choice, Brad, not mine. English-speaking locals live and play in tourist areas. That's your choice, not mine. Snarky. It comes with the territory. Let's see what else. Ordinary equals cranky. Sometimes. Let's see what else. If almost 40% of the cluster want to hear that this type of coverage, it means that many care to hear some coverage, in my opinion. I appreciate that, Brad, and I certainly take it into account, just as I take it into account when I want to find out whether you want to hear fart jokes or whether you want to walk this place or the other. I will be mindful of this, but I am not going to get my panties in a bunch because somebody thinks that we are omitting or not disclosing information. Again, if it's not relevant to me and people that are part of this cluster, I'm going to continue to not offer the information, but I will be so very glad to point you in the right direction if that kind of information is truly that important to you. Let's see. Paco, you do you, and we'll love you for it in any case. Thank you very much. I didn't set out. Thank you very much, Susan. I didn't set out to make everybody 100% happy. I set out with a very clear idea of what kind of broadcast I would want to enjoy on a daily basis, and that is the kind of broadcast that I am trying to deliver. So what happened in Parque Lázaro Cárdenas, says Tony. God bless you, Tony. You know what happened on Plaza Lázaro Cárdenas? Somebody tried to rob someone, and when the robber ran away, police started chasing him. And when the robber pulled out a gun and shot a policeman, the police shot the person back, and the person died. That's what happened in Parque Lázaro Cárdenas. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope this was a pleasant experience for you. It is an experience that gives me clarity on my goals through this broadcast. If you are not finding what you're looking for, I am very sorry. We do our best to provide a well-rounded broadcast every day. I am grateful for your comments. I am grateful for your questioning, and I am grateful for your company. And if I offended anyone today, I deeply apologize.